Good afternoon. I'm covering what is dated September 11th, 1889. It happened in London, England, and during the Whitechapel murders, which was better known as Jack the Ripper. Now, their victims were brutalized. It was a horrible time. There's been lots of talk about this, but this was probably not Jack the Ripper. It was 5:30 in the morning, yesterday morning, that the police found the body of a fallen woman lying at the corner of a railway arch on Cable Street in Whitehead. An examination of the remains showed that the head and arms had been cut off and carried away, and the stomach ripped open, leaving the intestines lying on the ground. Immediately, the police came, surrounded the spot, but no arrests have been made up to this hour. Policemen spotted some sailors who had slept under the adjoining arch and did take them into custody, but they released them because they didn't see anything. The physicians that examined the body state that, in their opinion, the murder and mutilation took about an hour. It is surmised that the murderer carried off the head and arms in a bag of some sort. True murder is the worst of the whole series of Whitechapel murders. The manner in which the hubs have been severed, the limbs, have been severed from the body shows that the murderer was possessed of some surgical skill. The woman was about 30 years old and her clothing was shabby, and it was evidently a spirit drinker. The remains have not been identified, but the most intense excitement prevails in Whitechapel. Crowds surround the mortuary where the body lies. Later details concerning the finding of the body of the murdered woman in Whitechapel showed that there was no blood on the ground where the body was found. Neither was there any blood on the body. From this, it is evident that the murder was committed in some other place and that the body was subsequently deposited under the railway arch. The trunk was nude, and a rent and body chemise, C-H-E-M-I-S-E, was found lying near the body. The arms were intact, but the legs were missing. It is believed that the woman had been dead for about 2 days, and they looked around but did not find anybody. Though the murder is generally spoken to be the work of the mysterious Jack the Ripper, a close examination of all the tacks that led to the communication of the murder is that it's not one of the Rippers. The police and the medical team, familiar with the details of the recent London horrors of this class, say that the last murder was not be classified with those known to be the Enbankment murders. That's what they were going to call it, of which those have been 4 now, including the new one in which a headless body of a victim was recently discovered in Chelsea, and of which the head has not been found. Although there is a general resemblance between the horrific work of the two murders, both went on to mutilate the bodies and carry them on in different fashions. Besides this, there are no evidence of difference in expertise on the surgical work involved in all the mutilations. The embalmment murderer being by far more medically trained than of the two. For some time it is doubtful whether or not these horrors were the work of one or two persons, but this last murder convinces the medical team that there are at least 2 entirely distinct murderers. It is believed that in the present instance, the body was purposely brought to the Whitechapel district to throw the police off the scent by including the belief that it was the work of Jack the Ripper. however, went on to trouble. It is entirely superstitious from the police as too much in a fog about the class of the murders of the others. So this was going to go on to be called an embankment murder, which at this time there were at least 4, and quite a scary thing. It was very grotesque. It was a very poor part of town, and if I find any more information, which I have not been able to at this time, I will let you know. Thank you.